start the recording, and then Roger, I think we're ready to go.
Okay.
Recording's running.
We're glad to have you all participating in this beautiful meeting this morning that's disease-free. Roll call, Michael.
Yes, thank you. Roger Friedel.
Yes.
Christy Bell. Scott Morrison.
Here.
Jeff Combs. David Pitcher.
I'm here.
Eric Franson.
Here.
Barbara Gardner.
Oh,
Blake Tullis.
I'm here. Sorry, I'm here. Barbara, I was marked out. Good, sorry.
Blake Tullis.
I'm here.
Thank you. Scott Baird. And Marie Owens. All right, Roger, we have 6 members of the board, and we have a quorum. We can move forward.
Awesome. Next on the agenda was the public comment. Any public that wants to comment to this group? No. How about conflicts of interest? Anybody have any conflicts of interest dealing with what we're talking about today? Good. Financial Assistance Committee reports. We go straight to Heather, or do you have something for us, Michael?
I have nothing. Let's go straight to Heather. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So today we're talking about Woodland Hills. Woodland Hills City has a project consisting of 17,000 feet of water line to replace aging and failing existing water line within the city streets. The project will include replacing valves, fire hydrants, PRVs, and other appurtenances. The cost of the project is estimated at $3,200,000. Woodland Hills will be contributing $300,000 towards the project. The local MAGI for Woodland Hills is approximately 157% of the state MAGI. The after project water bill would be $120.26, which is 2% of their local MAGI, so they do qualify for additional subsidy. I included a table to show the calculated rate, what the full loan at 0% interest would be, and then the recommendation. So the staff recommendation, because this did not go to the committee, is that the Drinking Water Board authorize a loan of $2,900,000 with $300,000 in principal forgiveness at 0% interest for 30 years for a repayable amount of $2,600,000 to the city of Woodland Hills. Any questions on the project?
I just have a curiosity question. How old is the ductile that's beginning to fail?
Oh, and I apologize. We have Ted Mickelson and Corbett Stevens here from Woodland Hills. So I don't see if they are muted.
I think, can you hear us okay, Heather?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, thanks. Well, first of all, thanks, board, for meeting together in this emergency board meeting to help the city out. So the pipeline that we're looking at replace is in some of the older sections of town, and I believe it was installed in the early 70s. And more recently, Woodland Hills had, I think there were 5 water line breaks over the course of 3 or 4 days. And when we started pulling the pipe out of the ground, or when they started pulling the pipe out of the ground, it was pretty evident that was 90% of it was due to corrosion. So it was probably a combination of the practices at the time when the pipeline was installed, not protecting as well, and probably some corrosive soils that the pipe's in. So this became a pretty big worry that this is going to continue to happen in this area of town more rapidly and likely throughout the winter. So hence the reason why we wanted to try and do a project this year that would help replace that pipeline, so the city's not out repairing and turning off water all winter long for residents. So this project will do a portion of the town that has some of the older sections of piping where they've been experiencing the most breaks. Anything, Corbett, to add to that? I think that's kind of a summary of.
That's pretty much it. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks, Ted. That makes sense.
So Heather, I do have a question.
Sure.
In your summary, you said the recommendation was the loan of 2.9 million with the
Yes.
300,000. Was that the 300,000 from the city or debt forgiveness? Because there's the third option of 2.6, 300,000 and 300,000, right?
Right. So the project cost is $3,200,000. They're contributing $300,000, which brings it down to $2.9 million. And then with $300,000 in principal forgiveness is a repayable of $2,600,000.
Okay.
That's to bring the water bill down to 1.75% of their MAGI.
Right, and that was the recommendation of the staff, right?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Just a picture with a question. I assume that's why you're going with the PVC is to address corrosion. And then second question is, with the points that you have on IPS, can you explain where you are on submitting water use data and the switch on the chlorine room?
Yes. Well, my name is Corbett Stevens. I'm the works director and the water operator for the city. 15 of those points are due to the lack of being able to read peak day demand flow. I'm in the process of installing a meter vault up at the tanks to address that. And the other 15 points are with a Maple Canyon tank that is shared between myself and Salem. I think it's more of getting Salem up, asking or submitting for an exception to the rule, because the chlorine room, I've talked to two of the auditors, the chlorine room is only 4 foot by 4 foot. And their comment was that we could ask for an exception simply because you can open the door and turn the lights without going into the room, other than sticking your hand around the corner.
So you're working on being able to provide the water use data, and it's primarily the peak flows that was lacking?
Correct. Right now, we have a meter on the well, but we don't have so we have a meter to be able to measure the water going into the tank, but we can't measure peak day demand coming out of the tank. And so I've got the valve installed, half of the pipe, the SCADA is in place. I'm just waiting on the meter to arrive and finish the rest of the piping.
Thank you, Corbett.
Do we have any other questions? Do we have plenty of money to pay for it?
We do. This
We
is going
do.
to come out of the federal fund. Sorry, Michael, go ahead.
No, you've got it. Take it.
Yeah, we do have sufficient funds in the federal account right now, so we're good.
Board, any further discussion or questions?
We've been seeing bids coming in higher in construction. Ted, you believe that this is in line with the most recent bids that have been going on?
Yeah, so good question, Dave, and you're right, and especially when we get in more of an emergency nature and require contractors to work a little quicker, that also tends to increase prices. We took the original estimate, we put together an estimate based on some more recent bids, It actually was a little lower than what was submitted as the final cost. We had a pretty heavy contingency in the project, hoping to account for that. So I think we're going to be covered. Obviously, the bidding environment's pretty volatile at times. So the plan, the backup plan is if we don't have sufficient funding, there are a few streets we could remove from the project that have been included, maybe not as critical, that would reduce the price back down to where we complete the project within the funding. But I think we've got it covered with a pretty sufficient contingency in there. We probably raised, just to give you some numbers, Dave, we probably raised the original estimate we came up with by somewhere around $500 million to try and account for that. And with also the thought process that if we were able to get some good pricing and come in under and have some funding remaining, we may complete a couple additional streets that are also going to be needing it soon. But great question.
Anything else, board?
Roger, this is Dave Pitcher. I'd move that the Drinking Water Board authorize a loan for $2.9 million with $300,000 in principal forgiveness at 0% interest for 30 years for a repayable amount of $2.6 million to the city of Woodland Hills, and that staff continue to work with them on the points on the IPS system.
Great. Thank you, Dave. We have a motion by Dave.
This is Scott. I can second that. Or Roger, you got it?
Okay. Second by any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
One opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, we have that taken care of. Do we have any other business, Michael?
I have, excuse me, I have nothing except to say thank you again to all the board members and everyone that's been on the meeting today. We appreciate your time and your willingness to meet to take care of this emergency situation. Next board meeting is September 1st, 1 p.m. Even though it says the building, I think we're still planning on a virtual meeting that day, but we will let you know if things change. That's
good.
all I have. Thanks, Roger.
Okay, anything else that needs to be talked about by the board? We need one more motion then. To adjourn?
We adjourn.
Anyone willing to make a motion?
I so moved.
Motion made. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed to adjourning?
Sorry, I didn't see who made the motion and who seconded it. I'm sorry. Who made the
What?
motion to adjourn?
I did, Barbara.
Okay, and then who second?
Roger.
Okay.
Motion, meeting adjourned. Thank you very much, board.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks
Thank
everybody.
you.
On behalf of the city, thank the board.